Okay, so when you think Oklahoma City, maybe, cowboys, wide open plains, that kind of image.
Yeah, that's the classic picture for sure.
And well, that's definitely part of it. But did you know it's actually like geographically huge? One of the biggest US cities by land area.
I did hear that. It's surprisingly sprawling.
But beyond just the size, what really struck me digging into this guide is this mix, this blend of deep history and a really vibrant kind of modern feel, especially the museums and art scene.
Right. It feels like a city that maybe flies under the radar a bit. People might have certain ideas, but there's more layers once you look.
Exactly. So that's what we're doing today. We want to give you a richer picture, get past those, standard tourist spots.
We've got this great guide, the 12 best things to do in Oklahoma City, and we sort of pulled out the best bits.
Yeah, think of this as your curated shortcut. We looked at personal pics, Google reviews, local insights, the whole deal.
Our mission really is just to give you the highlights, the essence, so you can appreciate what OKC actually offers.
Not just listing places, but understanding why they're recommended.
Right.
What makes them stand out for you, the listener?
Precisely. What's the real story behind them?
Okay, let's dive right in. First stop, culture and history. The guide kicks off with the First Americans Museum. Now, this sounds pretty foundational.
It really is. I think what makes it so important is its specific focus on the 39 tribes connected to Oklahoma.
Ah, okay. So not just general Native American history, but specific to the region.
Exactly. It lets you go deeper into the distinct histories and, importantly, the ongoing presence of these nations.
And they have items from the Smithsonian.
Yeah, a big collection on loan from the National Museum of the American Indian. So you're seeing like original artwork, historical artifacts.
Yeah.
It's a really direct link to the past.
That sounds powerful. And I saw something about a garden, Chef Loretta's garden.
Uh-huh. That adds another dimension, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It showcases native plants, things used for food and medicine.
Right, connecting the culture directly to the land itself. That makes sense.
It really deepens the understanding. And the guide mentions visiting during like the summer solstice or the winter art market for extra context.
Good tip. Okay, so from that deep dive into first American history, the guide shifts to, well, the other iconic image, the Wild West, the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum.
Right. The Cowboy Museum, we all kind of picture what that might be, maybe saddles and guns.
Yeah, exactly. But what makes this one special, according to the guide?
Well, beyond the artifacts, and they have original boats, gear, all that, the thing that sounds really cool is the full-scale replica of a Wild West town.
Oh, wow. Like you can walk through it.
Yeah, apparently it's designed to be really immersive, like stepping back in time. And they have outdoor areas, too, with recreations of native games and cowboy stuff.
So it's more interactive than just looking at things in cases.
To Samway.
Yeah.
Trying to give you a feel for the era.
Okay, now for a total change of pace. Factory Obscura. This sounds different.
Yeah, definitely a shift. If the Cowboy Museum is history, this is very much contemporary art and interactive.
Interactive how?
It's described as this collaborative space for local and bigger name artists. The guide says it feels like walking through a giant mixtape.
A giant mixtape. I love that description.
Me too. It suggests it's multisensory, immersive, maybe a bit weird in a good way.
And they have performances. Open nights.
And an annual Future of Sound festival. Apparently it had a neon theme recently.
Neon. Okay. That's quite the contrast with the, dusty trails of the Wild West Museum.
It really shows the city's range, doesn't it? Holding on to history, but also embracing this like really modern, vibrant art scene.
Absolutely. Okay, staying with art, but maybe more traditional, the Oklahoma City Museum of Art. What's the focus here?
So this one has more of your classic and modern masterpieces. Think Ansel Adams, Rodin, that caliber.
Okay, big names.
But what's interesting is it also really highlights Oklahoma artists like Dale Chihuly, the glass artist.
Chihuly. Right.
And art that reflects Oklahoma culture specifically. Plus, they have traveling exhibitions and film screenings, so it sounds like it stays fresh.
So, wow. First Americans, Wild West, immersive modern art, classic masters. That's a serious cultural tour already.
Definitely covers a lot of ground.
Now, the guide also talks about getting outdoors. First up, Myriad Botanical Gardens. 17 acres downtown sounds lovely.
Yeah, like a proper green oasis, right in the city center. It mentions Japanese cherry trees, sculptures mixed in with the plants.
Sounds peaceful. But it's not just for looking, is it? There are activities.
Right. That's what caught my eye.
Yeah.
Live performances, flower arranging, ikebana classes, specifically even yoga and sound baths.
Oh, cool. So you can really engage with the space.
Exactly. Makes it more of an experience than just a walk. And, The guide mentions the colors in spring and fall. Always nice.
For sure. Okay, different kind of nature. The Oklahoma City Zoo. The guide calls it prestigious for the Midwest. What makes it stand out?
Well, they mentioned the big draws, giraffes, lions, elephants, that kind of thing. Shows its scale.
Uh-huh.
But the Wild Encounters program sounds interesting. A chance to get a bit closer, maybe.
Ah, like behind the scenes.
Perhaps. And they mentioned potential lectures by zoologists, which suggests, a strong education and conservation focus.
Yeah.
More than just viewing.
Right, trying to foster that deeper connection. Okay, and for the more active types, the Boathouse District.
Yeah, this sounds like the hub for outdoor action along the Oklahoma River.
So boating, fishing, that makes sense.
Sure, but also hiking, biking,
Yeah.
and then the river sport complex. That's where it gets interesting.
How so?
Zip lines and whitewater rafting.
Wait, whitewater rafting? In Oklahoma City?
I know, that was a surprise. Not exactly the Rockies.
Not at all. And it's a training site.
Yeah, a U.S. Olympic and Paralympic training site, which is pretty impressive. Adds a whole other level to it.
Definitely gives it some serious cred. Wow. Okay, culture, nature. Now for some unique OKC experiences. First, the Bricktown water taxi.
Yeah. This sounds like a really chill way to see the Bricktown area.
Gliding along canals, seeing murals, landmarks.
Right. Kind of stylish, relaxing sightseeing. It connects you right to all the restaurants and bars in Bricktown.
Makes sense as a starting point for an evening out. And they have frequent trips.
Uh-huh. And options for private tours, even cocktail cruises, apparently.
Fancy. Okay, shifting gears completely. The Orr family farm. This sounds...
Wholesome.
Yeah, definitely gives off that vibe. A step back in time, very family-focused.
What kind of stuff is there? Besides, presumably, a farm.
Oh, loads of things. Tube slides, a trackless train, tractor driving, even a giant chess set, and ziplining too.
Ziplining at the farm. Okay,
Yeah.
It's a real mix.
Seems like it. Plus all the seasonal stuff. Easter egg hunts, hay rides, pumpkin pie in the fall. That whole traditional farm experience.
Gotcha. Okay, from the family farm to, well, a different kind of farm experience. That's Stockyard City.
Right. This is pitched as the place for, like, authentic Western gear and that whole on-the-farm vibe.
And the main event is the Stockyards itself.
Exactly. The Oklahoma National Stockyards. Apparently, it's the largest cattle market in the U.S.
Wow. Can you actually watch the auctions? Yeah, the guy says you can watch them on Mondays and Tuesdays. Describes it as a pretty fascinating, unique experience.
I bet. Definitely not your average tourist attraction. I saw mention of steak.
Makes sense, right? Get a good grilled steak after watching the cattle auction. Very fitting.
Very. Okay, another thing the guide really emphasizes is festivals. Oklahoma City seems big on them.
It really does.
Yeah.
The list is pretty long. It sounds like a city that really enjoys celebrating.
What are some highlights?
Well, the Red Earth Festival sounds significant, focuses on Native American art and dancers, and it's nearing its 40th anniversary, which is a big milestone.
Definitely sounds important. What else?
The usual suspects like Pride, 4th of July, the State Fair, but also Fiestas de las Americatas.
Oh, highlighting the Latino culture.
Yeah, which points to the city's diversity. The sheer number of festivals suggests a really active community calendar.
It really does. Okay, finally. There's one place that feels essential, but also very somber. The Oklahoma City National Memorial and Museum.
Yeah. This is obviously about remembering the 1995 bombing, a place for reflection.
What does the guide emphasize about the experience there?
It talks about the personal stories, the information about the event itself, and importantly, honoring the victims and recognizing the first responders.
Right.
And it specifically mentions the impact of just walking through the outdoor memorial area where the building stood. Sounds incredibly moving.
Yeah. A profoundly important place to understand the city's history and resilience.
Absolutely.
Okay, and just before we wrap up the sites, the guide does give a nod to practicalities. Mentioned a few hotels.
Yeah, just threw out a few options like one luxury, one mid-range, one budget.
Yeah.
Just as a starting point if you're planning a trip.
Useful anchor point.
Okay.
So, looking back at everything we've covered, it's honestly a much more varied picture of Oklahoma City than I might have guessed.
Totally. We've gone from, deep Native American roots in the Wild West
To buzzing modern art scenes, peaceful gardens, surprisingly adventurous outdoor stuff.
unique spots like the water taxi and the stockyards, all those festivals.
And of course, that incredibly significant memorial. It really covers a huge range.
What stands out is how it all seems to coexist. It's not just one thing. It's this mix that makes it interesting.
So for you listening, as we walked through these 12 highlights, did anything jump out? Was there an aha moment where you thought, Okay, that sounds like my kind of thing.
Yeah, which part resonated most with you? Because this guide, great as it is, it's really just scratching the surface, right?
Absolutely, it's a starting point. There's always more to find, more stories beneath these main attractions.
Always layers to uncover.
Which makes you wonder, thinking about this glimpse we've had of Oklahoma City, what other surprising stories might be hiding just under the surface in places we think we know?